Well, here we are with the Victrola 4, the fourth. It's all set and ready. It's been cleaned up, fully serviced, rebuilt, reproducer, all the usual stuff I do. And this one is 284971E. This is an early 1917 machine. Too early to have lost the slats in the horn yet. Too early for the isolated horn, the cast iron horn, internal horn in there. So it's more like a 1916 than it is what we would think of as the 1917, the World War I version, although it is wartime. And I really didn't need a lot. This is one of those flea market finds I couldn't pass up. I have a lot of fours, but I couldn't pass it up because it just has such nice condition wood on it. Yeah, it was filthy. It was really filthy, but that's something Cotton Cleanser takes care of, and it did in this case. This was originally, long ago, in that far-off 1917, this was originally a golden oak machine. You can see it's very, very bright here. Usually is, because this is always closed, protected from sunlight and everything else. It's more of a reddish, more of a reddish patina on there now, which is normal for shellac when it ages. The shellac on this one has not alligated in particular that I can see. It's, it's faded a bit, but that's it. Which is the case with a lot of these smaller machines, because instead of being banished to the barn or the basement or some other nasty place, the shed, they tend to get stuffed in closets and places like that, are stuck in a box and put away somewhere, which helps preserve them. And the gentleman who had this at the flea market had done what I like to refer to as a flea market refurb on it. He slapped on a new felt, didn't quite do it correctly, but I'm going to leave it as is. It's good enough. Didn't touch the case at all, thank goodness. Didn't do a single thing. Didn't even wipe off the dust, and that's how I like to find them. I don't want people to do things to the finish before I get a hold of them. He hosed down the motor with WD-40 just to make it turn a little bit, and that was pretty much it. And he did some weird stuff to the reproducer to hold it onto the tone arm. It had like a plastic bottle cap drilled and for a couple screws and held on. It was a disaster. Obviously not something that was going to function. It was just enough to attract attention at a table and looked intact, keep the reproducer on it, and that was pretty much it. But it was intact, had everything on it, and it was not damaged in any way. And the worst thing to it was he had done something to the hinges, tried to adjust them on the doors, and they were kind of stuck. They didn't want to open. As they're supposed to flop open. There's no detent on a 4's doors or a 6's. Not like you find with the larger Victrolas. They didn't have that. So the doors, when you tip the machine or something like that, they'll fall open. That's normal. They do that. So don't worry if your machine does that. That's what they're supposed to do. And as you can see, these ones now working just fine. They stay where they're supposed to. And there we go. This one has the slats, and like I said, it has the baffle wood horn inside there. Exhibition reproducers, what they all came with. And I get one other question sometimes with these 4s. Can you play an 11-inch record on a Victrola 4? Well, why not? Does anybody think that the Victor company would produce a machine that was incapable of playing some record that the Victor company sold? Oh, no, they didn't do that. They were too smart for that. Any machine the Victor company sold would play any record the Victor company sold. And 11-inch records are no different. Only thing on these 4s is they hang over. What do we got here? Poor Butterfly, the Victor military band. Good enough. Put that right on there. Look at that, since I have a whole stack of these to test anyway. It overhangs a bit, but you can still reach the brake, and it clears the tone arm with no difficulty at all. So yes, if you have a Victrola 4 and you want to play an 11-inch record, go ahead. You're not going to hurt anything, and it'll fit right on there. That's all. Just don't put anything on the edge, or lean on it or something like that. But that's that. Now we'll test it. The reproducer was rebuilt, as I mentioned. Boy, did it need it. Okay, I already wound it. I already put a needle on it, so all we really need to do is put the needle on the record. And you can reach the brake very easily. Now let's flip that over and play the flip side and see what we have there. Okay. I'm sure I've played this record before. Well, not this one, but one with the same content. When you collect a lot of records over time, you tend to get multiple copies. Katinka, I know I've played that before. Victor Military Band again. And I know I have at least, I think I have 2 copies of this actual record right here with me somewhere. Dust on there. Being that it is an 11-inch record, I should probably wind it. The Victrola the 4th has the smallest spring of any tabletop Victrola or floor model. And yeah, even the portables aren't quite as small. You know, or they're the same size as this. This shares a spring with the Victor Victrola 50 and a few other ones. Okay, well, that's... Oh, no. First, we need a needle. Yep, got a needle on there. There we go. Okay. Got a little dust on the record, but that's all right. It's not going to hurt anything. And they have a really nice sound to them. That's one thing about a Victor machine. It doesn't matter if it was the least expensive one like this one, and while this was the least expensive machine in the Victor lineup, it was still pretty expensive for the ordinary person to buy. I mean, this was not, you know, a dollar store special. This machine, I believe, by 1917 was costing somewhere between $15 and $18, maybe even 20 by then. That was considerable amount of money at that time period. Not like today where you can't even buy a sandwich for 20 bucks, but back then, that was a lot of money. Most people didn't even make that in a day, if they work for a living anyway. But they had a nice sound. Every machine that Victor produced had a nice sound. They had to. These machines needed to sell themselves. If they had crap sound, nobody would buy them. And people bought them. By the hundreds of thousands they bought them, especially this model. And Victor knew that if you bought the 4 and you liked it, chances are you were going to buy, I don't know, maybe a 10 or an 11, maybe a bigger tabletop like a 9 or an 8. Spend more money, so they wanted to make sure you were impressed right from the start. And these machines do. You can hear it does have a very nice sound to it. All right, let's see if I got another record here I can play for you. I think I do. Stacked up there. First, let's get rid of the needle, because as we know, and as I've said 1,000 times, needles are used one time, one play, that's it. And once you're done, you throw it away and you put a new one on the machine, and they sell them by the hundreds. Or the 100 pack, or you could just buy thousands at a time if you like. If you're going to play a lot of records, because if you keep using these steel needles over and over again, they turn into a cutting implement that damages your records. Because these records have shale dust in their shellac mix. And that is to shape the needle to the groove of the record. And what happens later on is that if you keep using that same needle over to the next record, well, it turns into a cutting implement and starts damaging your grooves and ruining your records. So don't do that. Needles are not expensive. And never use needles you find in a machine, because you don't know if they've been used or not. Some people back in the old days, like during the Depression, they would use needles over and over again because they didn't have any money at all. And, you know, they wanted to play the machine, so they kept using the needles over until they wouldn't play anymore. So if you find, you know, a bunch of needles in the machine, unless they're sealed in a package or something like that, or the guy who's selling you the machine says, I just bought them last week, they're good, don't use them. Just get new needles. You can buy them on eBay. All the parts suppliers have them. They're not hard to find. Now, this is Paul Whitman. This is Avalon. We'll just try that one. I might have played this before. This might be the same record I played last time. That's all right. there we go. Let's just take that, put the needle where it belongs, in the spent needle container. There we go. Well, that'll be it for now. I'll be playing more records on this, testing it and all that, but I know it's in good shape. It's been sitting on my desk for a while, and I've been playing records on it, but this is the demo video. Now that it's done, there we go. It's got new rubber feet on it too, something I like to do, because if you don't, you may scratch your work surface or your tabletops. Yeah. Little rubber feet. I had a question the other day about the size to use on these for the rubber feet, 5/8, 3/4. They came with the smaller ones from the factory, 5/8, which is perfectly adequate. It does the job. Sometimes I like to use the larger 3/4, either because that's all I have available, or because it just protects the everything a little bit more, gives you a bit more space, a little bit more insulation there between your tabletops and your machine. So you can use either or. It doesn't make a difference. And that green is probably a little bit too green. I'm sure this came from one of the suppliers of felts, but and you can see they kind of screwed it up here in the middle a little bit. You're not supposed to see the indent there. You're supposed to, when you put these on, you're supposed to pull them a little bit so that stays straight and you don't put any kind of adhesive there. But a lot of times these are like peel and stick, and the people putting them on don't really understand that. So what I do is I get a square, a 12 inch by 12 inch square of green felt from the craft store, or or on eBay, whatever. It's all the same. And I spray the adhesive only here. Spray on adhesive, Elmer's spray on adhesive. Drop the square on it. Pull it tight because it dries in like 20 seconds. Pull it tight so that you see a nice taut surface here. And that's that. And then trim it up to, trim around with scissors and razor blades, whatever you want to use, to neaten it up, and you've got new felts. And a lot of times on these tabletops, I do have to change the felts because they're exposed to the moths, and unless someone left a record on it for 80 years, it's exposed to all the dirt, the moths, rust on the turntable, all of that stuff. So almost always I do have to change the felts on these, unless they've been protected somehow, for many years. And there you go. That's Victor Victrola the 4th, 1917, early 1917. This is not the open model with the no slats. And I will be working next, am working actually on a Victrola 11. That's the same vintage. It's early 1917, and it is old enough to have missed out on some of the upgrades that they put in 1917, like the improved motor, stuff like that. But they're just interesting, strange. They both happen to end up on my table at the same time. And they were probably in the Victor factory at the same time too. But that will be a subject of another video. Later on, maybe next week, whenever I get it done. A lot of scrubbing and cleaning on that one yet.